everyone. I wanted to share with you a easy project that I've done with my students before, and hopefully you have most of these or all of these supplies at home already. The only thing that you might not have is glue and a paintbrush. You don't need a paintbrush, you could just use your finger, but I like to use a paintbrush because it's a little less messy. So other things that you should be able to find at home is a piece of paper that you can draw what you would like to on top, and some tissue paper. So I just have some that were in gift boxes or something like that I could just rip up into small pieces about this size. You also, ideally you could use construction paper for the outline. If you don't have construction paper, black construction paper at home, you can just use cardboard. So I've cut up some of this paper board from a box, and I'm going to use that because this is going to be opaque while the tissue paper is translucent, and so it will still create that contrast that we want. So it's great to do this after you go out and you look at stained glass windows. There's stained glass windows all around your neighborhood, in churches, in people's houses. If you're here in Pittsburgh, the Cathedral of Learning has some really interesting looking stained glass windows. And just talk about them. Just talk about what, you know, which ones are your favorite and what is neat about them. So for this, we're talking about translucency and it being opaque. So we have our black construction paper here, or cardboard that we're going to be using. That's opaque, it won't let the light through. And then the tissue paper will let the light through, so it's translucent. This one here I've actually done on wax paper, so this is also an option if you don't have, or if you feel this is getting too complicated. Just do it on wax paper. It's actually much simpler. It just won't be quite as see-through, but it still is. It's still just fine. So I have taped down some saran wrap on top of my picture that I have drawn. Now I drew just a simple shape. I wouldn't get too much into detail on it, so just whatever your skill level is, whatever you feel comfortable with. Sometimes I also like to water down my glue. Actually, I put some in a little container, add just a little bit of water, and that helps make it flow better. But you also don't need to do that. So I can just even open it up since I'm using my paintbrush, and I can just use the glue right from here. I can spread it out. I want to start with my lines, and then I will do my tissue paper later. And so I spread some glue out, and then I put down my construction paper or my cardboard. This is one I really encourage people to use a lot of glue for. I know sometimes you want to be careful with how much glue you're using. This isn't the case for this one. This one, the more glue you use, the stronger it will be. I also am overlapping my cardboard just a little bit so that it will be stronger in the long run. Because ideally, once this is dry, if you're doing this on plastic, you can actually peel the whole thing off and have it as a separate thing. So that's what this piece here is actually. This was peeled off of a piece of plastic, and now it's just by itself. So I would do your entire outline first so that you have a strong base. You want to have something solid around the whole outside if you plan on peeling this off of the plastic. And then you can just start spreading glue around, and if you're using a paintbrush, you can even pick up your paper with a paintbrush. But I would put glue on both sides. So I put some glue down, and then I put the piece of paper on, and then I put glue over top of it. So you want it to be nice and gluey so that it is stronger later. Now I'm overlapping. This is a really interesting thing if you're using like primary colors when you're doing this. See how I'm going over my outline as well. But when you have the colors overlap, if you have, say, a yellow tissue paper and you have a blue tissue paper, it's going to actually make green where it overlaps. And so that's a great chance to talk about color mixing. Or I just have some very pastel colors, and they do mix a little bit. You probably can't see it from there, but they are mixing a little bit where they overlap. And so I'm getting a very light purple when my white is with it, or I'm getting a very pinkish purple when the pink and the purple mix. But you just continue to do this for the whole space. All right, and there I have my stained glass window. It's going to have to dry. I made a little shape in the inside with some more cardboard just to make it a little bit more interesting, and we'll have to wait for this to dry before we can peel this off.